Winston Churchill is known as one of the most inspirational leaders in the world. He accomplished many things, such as being a successful prime minister and leading his country during World War II. His writings are quoted more often than those of any other person in the English language other than Shakespeare. Can you imagine someone being quoted almost as much as Shakespeare himself? However, his life was not all successes, and like all great men who have accomplished so much, he dealt with many troubles during his life, but he always managed to keep going and overcome them. Join us now for this episode of Liber-Tea, where we discover the fascinating adult life of Winston Churchill. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, and comment with any thoughts or interesting facts you can add to this already epic life. Winston Churchill was born on November 30th, 1874, in Blenheim Palace, located in Woodstock, Oxfordshire. The palace had been built by Queen Anne as a gift for John Churchill, 1st Duke of Marlborough, for his victory over the French army at the Battle of Blenheim in 1704. This made Winston Churchill 1st Duke of Marlborough when he was born, and this is why he became known as Winston Spencer Churchill, or just Winston Churchill. Although he was born into aristocracy, with a long family history full of numerous members who were notable for their accomplishments like battle victories or social movements, he himself was born into a situation where there was not much money. He learned to live with this situation and would eventually grow to not only survive, but actually thrive with such difficulties. He became a military man, writer, poet, and one of the most quoted famous people in history. Winston Churchill's adult life is as fascinating as his early life because he was a man of many skills. Not only did he lead the war against Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany, but he also served as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1940 to 1945 and from 1951 until 1955. He received his formal education from private tutors before attending Harrow School at age 13. Surprisingly, Winston Churchill was a history buff from an early age. His favorite subjects in school were math and history. After finishing school, he went to the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, and graduated with honors in military history and English literature. The British superhero and war hero, Winston Churchill, found romance in the 20s and had an affair with the daughter of the woman he would marry a few years later. At age 27, Winston Churchill married Clementine Hozier, who remained by his side for 35 years until her death in 1962 due to complications after a stroke. Churchill's friends and family called him Bamfy. Bamfy was one of the greatest wartime leaders in history. He was a British politician and an officer in the Royal Navy who served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Churchill's military career began in 1898 when he joined the British Army. His first assignment was as a correspondent for the Morning Post newspaper, covering the Spanish-American War of 1899 to 1900. He also reorganized his life around an extravagant social life, dividing his time among London, where he held a seat in Parliament. In Paris, he invested heavily and unsuccessfully in horse racing, and the Riviera, where he pursued his hobbies of painting, sculpture, polo, and yachting. He was doing quite a bit to catch up to his slow, poor upbringing. The First World War saw Churchill as Minister of Munitions before becoming Secretary of State for War, then back to First Lord of the Admiralty until 1922, when he lost office after Labour Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald came into power following a general election. However, Churchill made his mark in history with the defeat of Hitler, the creation of an air force, his fight them on the beaches speech to rally British troops and citizens during a dark time, as well as being responsible for one of the most famous speeches in English language history. His words still resonate today and inspire people around the world. Winston Churchill was an English politician who was a prominent conservative politician in the United Kingdom. During his lifetime, he won many awards for his writings, speeches, and achievements. These included honorary degrees from various universities and the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1953 for his historical writings. Winston Churchill's impressive resume continues on with becoming one of the most famous prime ministers of Great Britain. He is remembered for his lively and colorful personality during his tenure as prime minister. The Englishman was prime minister for a total of 3 terms during 3 different time periods. Churchill was a brave soldier who defended the empire. He is best known for his stirring speeches during the Second World War, so much so that he is often called the greatest orator of the 20th century. Churchill received the Nobel Prize in 1953 for his mastery of historical and biological descriptions, as well as for the brilliant oratory in defending exalted human values. It is hard to find someone with a better resume than Winston Churchill. Churchill suffered a major heart attack while still in office in 1953. After his death in 1965, Winston Churchill's estate has seen a change in management. The Winston Churchill Foundation is the organization responsible for managing everything. It was founded a year later after his death in 1965 and then opened its doors to visitors. In 2011, they moved the museum to Fulton, Missouri and renamed it the International Churchill Museum at Westminster College. They also began digitizing their archives to make them more accessible to researchers around the world. Historic Blenheim Palace houses an extensive collection of artifacts from Winston's life, which are open for public viewing, as well as an archive which houses his papers, paintings, and other memorabilia. Thank you for joining us as we discover the life and times of Winston Churchill's amazing adult life. We hope you have learned as much as we have enjoyed presenting his life to you. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, and comment with other facts that interest you, and let us know any future historical events and figures you'd like us to share with you in future episodes. Thank you for listening.